resolution to Congress will not be sent until we have solved our own $10 billion structural shortfall or deficit. The Office of Comptroller has stated that the state of Texas is operating under a $10 billion structural shortfall, a direct cause of an unbalanced and irresponsible tax swap measure that was passed in 2006. When the tax swap passed, we knew it would create a structural shortfall. The comptroller told us it would, but those in charge of the process didn't listen. No matter how well our economy does in the next 2 years, we will come back to a legislature in 2013 with another $10 billion shortfall unless we do something about it. HCR 18 does nothing about our $10 billion structural shortfall. Instead, it attempts to distract us from our responsibility as Texas lawmakers to make sure that our Texas budget is a sound and stable budget. Balanced budgets are good, but how you balance a budget is important and something we don't talk about enough. Bad public policy is bad public policy. If we passed in this legislature a tax structure on a school finance bill that leaves us with this session a $10 billion permanent shortfall, then in the next session another $10 billion plus shortfall, no matter how well the economy does. Because when it was passed, the shortfall was built in to the system through enrollment growth. So as long as we continue to have more kids going to school, we'll be short more and more money each biennium. We're either going to do our work correctly and we're going to live up to what it is that we say are our principles, or we're going to be hypocrites. It only counts if it's somewhere else. I've seen that before. And that's why this amendment says get our house in order first. Let's make sure we're not creating problems for the people who are in government like school districts, cities, and counties. And let's make sure that we live up to the principles that we lay out so piously to send to the federal government. I grew up in a place where it's not what you say, it's what you do. We can say this all day long, but if we don't do the same things here, then it's just talk. And I heard the author say that, this was not about partisanship, but it is about responsibility. And I think that we ought to be responsible first before we start talking about somebody else and their responsibility. One of the things that I'm learning here is that there are a lot of people who want to be in Congress, and I suggest they run for it. Because this is the Texas House of Representatives. We deal with Texas issues. And if they want to be bothered with the federal deficit in the budget, go run for Congress and do that up there. Why don't we solve the problems that we have here in Texas? And one of them is that structural shortfall that only grows higher and higher each year.